all night and all that kind of stuff. All of that's taught. You've been listening to the music all the time, haven't you? It's told you how you should feel when you're in love. You know, right? Isn't that what it says? Oh, I think about him all the time. I can't sleep. Oh, you're in love. Not necessarily. You may be addicted. Pun unintended. You may be addicted in the sense that you are using this person, this relationship, to escape your reality, to get away from yourself. You see? And to the degree that they can be used for you to escape who you are and what you are, to that degree you feel good in their presence. You feel euphoric. You can't live without them, because without them you go into withdrawal. You see? And you begin to face the craziness of your condition. And you begin to face the real pain that is at the root of your escape in the first place. And you can't cold turkey and live through it and come to know what's really behind it, you see. So you reach out again for another rush, for another person, and promiscuity increases, infidelity increases, and even when you're married, you're still showing your butt and carrying on as if you're not married, you see. And you can't rest. You need the admiration of men and the admiration of women. Still, you know, it just goes on and it's endless. They can't be good enough for you. You seek perfection. You seek excitement, because that's in excitement you forget about reality. And you have good men. I run into too many good men out here. Educated men, good salaries, loyal men, I'm telling you, who are being rejected by women, black women. Don't make this game appear that it's only black men who are rejecting black women. There are many women out there, they want this perfect person. Yes, sir. You see, this exciting person, this black white man. You see. And a good black man is too boring and uninspiring. Or else you say, well, let me keep you out there for a while and I'll come back for you later. You know, this kind of thing. And it goes what? The other way. So we must learn that love is taught. Children are taught to love. That's another thing that African-centered education teaches, you see. Love and affection. That's another reason why we want to take these young men to this. How do you love a woman? What is real love? What is the difference between real love and addiction, and the real love and use and abuse of a woman, you see? How do you love yourself first so that you don't use a woman to support your own perceived self as a person, you see? And often it's difficult sometimes unless you can get them by themselves, because see, in the middle of women, often they got to show off a bit. They can't come to terms with themselves, you see. And sometimes you got to take them out there and see what it is. What is this game called America? What is this game called love anyway? Where did you get that word from? How did love develop? What is the history of love? Do you know there's a history to love? That Europeans were taught love, and love was defined and written in books, and ultimately taught by the ruling classes to the lower classes. And then it became a basis for marriage and the whole thing. Let's examine this before we talk about how much we love and don't love each other. What is this thing called love anyway? Where does it come from? Why is this essence that says it's irrational? You know, we got to look at that. But most of all, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to reclaim our African identity and our African selves, and we've got to free our African mind. Thank you very much.
Hold on, brothers and sisters. I see everybody thoroughly enjoyed the lecture, so you have something to work with when you get by the water cooler this week. Now,
one does not gain spiritual clarity or deep spiritual understanding without self-knowledge. As a matter of fact, the root to healthy spirituality is through self-knowledge. Because ultimately, you see, even though we put the emphasis on self, as I said earlier, that in getting to know who we are as a self, ultimately means getting to know how our self came into being. Which means that a deep sense of self-knowledge means getting to know the world and the principles by which self is created, which of course then brings us into an examination of those who are our creators and those people who interacted with, the nature of the world that we live in. And ultimately, to get to know ourselves, we in a sense have to even step outside of ourselves at that point and enter into another consciousness. And to me, that entering into that consciousness becomes a cosmic consciousness, you see, where we see the self not as separated from the world, not as individually demarcated from the world, but as a part of the total cosmic atmosphere, as a part of the great oneness with the Spirit or with God, if you will. I do not believe that people who are engaged in self-hatred and who are separated from themselves and who have not truly come to know themselves can truly come to know God. They will be sold things. You saw that thing here the other night on, was it Prime Time? Where the preachers were rooking these people off. Some of them getting much as, what, $1 million or more a day? Millions and millions of dollars. People who are being deceived by the Jimmy Swaggarts and the other people of the world, and yet they're being deceived in terms of their spirituality. But one, to me, of the hallmarks of spirituality is enlightenment and clarity and the ability to discern reality and to look through a good deal of chicanery. You see? And to me, to be taken again and again and again and to be misused in the name of religion means that one needs to re-examine what that religion and spirituality is about. This too often is sold to African American people purely as a feeling, you see, and some kind of body feeling, and it's measured. And you know, I've told you before that you can't equate good feelings and even unusual feelings with necessarily being possessed by God. You can confuse those two things. In fact, the devil will trick you by representing himself as what? God. You see? And I've also mentioned to you before here to remember one thing, that Africans did not come to this country as Christians. Now that hurts a lot of people's feelings. But you must understand that Africans did not come to this country as Christians. It's very important to understand that. Where did Africans learn, particularly African Americans, this Christianity from? Even if you said you found it, the kind you learned